kind of unexpected that I got the legal question. And I have to say that the question is kind of hard to digest. So also for the attendees of this afternoon, I received the question last week and I had a look at it and said, well, it's interesting and it's very doable. But then when I prepared this over the weekend for this afternoon, I found, oh, it's not that easy to answer this question. So at the end of the day, we are looking for some regulations that make companies rather focus on themselves instead of supporting others, right? So if you now expect an answer from my side, I'm very sorry, because what I have is 3 additional questions, and I try to approach the questions in this way. So the first question is actually, why should a firm support another firm? Most of the firms that are around, and they're also attending this afternoon, there are no NGOs. So only if it contributes to the own success, the company will have an incentive to actually support another company. And this leads us to the conclusion, and we also saw this at the introductory video before the event started, that the overall value of the supply chain is higher than the sum of the values of the individuals. So by realizing this, people or companies would have actually an incentive to support each other in a supply chain. The second question that is of relevance in answering the overall question is, what is actually the purpose of legal boundaries? Well, I don't want to go too much into legal theory, but of course, there are several purposes of legal boundaries, and there's no clear answer to that. But what we can say is that with legal boundaries, governments or regulatory bodies in general would always try to incentivize a certain behavior on the one hand side, and on the other hand side also to protect against certain adverse effects. And Ines touched upon the aspect of transparency, and let me come with a third aspect I would like to address in just a second. So the legal challenges and the regulations concerning the regulations are the ones at the end of the day that are the legal boundaries in the concept or in the context we're talking about this afternoon. And from my point of view, the most striking ones are the regulations to the anti-money laundering reviews. Everything, so that is basically the requirements that a company should have some checks on where actually the money is coming from they receive. We have secondly all the KYC questions, so know your customer, the background checks on the contracting parties. A third aspect is the sanctions topic that is very crucial at the very moment, as you can imagine. And another aspect, and it's a very hot topic, is the ESG compliance and ESG requirements. So these are all regulations that kind of make companies focus rather on their own compliance with these regulations instead of having a focus on the other companies or on the resilience of the supply chain in general. So as I said, I probably raised more questions than I gave you an answer, but I'm sorry for that.